this. So Nick and I, it's a funny story. Okay. So both of us got into the industry about almost exactly the same time. Matter of fact, fun fact, there's a video out there, if you can go hunt it down, of the very first time Nick Theodore and I both spoke on the same stage for the very first time. We actually spoke at a conference, for insurance conference, the very first time we ever got to speak on a stage. We were both on the same stage at the exact same time. So fun fact, but in '09, we both got into the insurance industry. It was a way different world back then than it is now. Maybe Nick will elaborate on that. Maybe he won't. No big deal. I will tell you, Nick was one of the original people with Equus when they first started the company. I partnered up with Equus later on, but Nick went out there and built his company from scratch. And then, just like myself, at the end of 2020, we got the fortunate opportunity to get our offer sheet from Integrity Marketing to buy our companies. One of the best things about this industry is there is no timeline on how fast or how slow you can do anything. That was my favorite thing about this world. So if you're in this world, whether you're a veteran or whether you're brand new, the one beautiful thing about this is you can go out and build your business at whatever scalable size or scale you want to, at as quick or as slow as you want. And some of us are a little faster, some of us are a little slower. Nick and I both started building our businesses in 2016 and rapid fired them out. And just 4 years later, got our offer sheets to have our companies bought by the largest company in the world. And now we're both managing partners in that. And so Nick and Cindy have done tremendous things in the industry, have a huge team, are very well respected in this industry. And the fact that he's a managing partner says a lot. I asked Nick to be on today specifically because his team is generating some heavy results right now. They're not only are they building massive agencies, which listen, whether you're not building one or you're starting to build one or you haven't even thought about it, you should listen up because he's going to give you some statistics. And that is one of Nick's really huge traits that he has, is he'll give you the core details to actually go out and do it. But they're also selling at a high level and selling a lot of apps. So maybe he'll even tell you how to sell some extra apps this week. But with that, Nick, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to mute out and I'm going to let you take over, man. So it's all your show from here on out, and appreciate you jumping on and doing the call again for us.
Awesome, Jared. Thanks so much. It's always an honor and a privilege to be able to not just be a colleague of you and compete with you, but also, hey, being managing partners in the largest insurance conglomerate on the planet. That is super cool. And as soon as you mentioned that about last month, we've got these thing called leaderboards. And I did look it up, and hey, man, Chuck, you did beat 7 other RM teams last month. The only problem is 33 others beat you. So I'm sure you're going to roll up that leaderboard this month and make up for it. How cool would it be, for those guys that are sitting over there at Chuck's place doing the dial session, to be thinking about, okay, the car that I drove up in today won't be the same car I drive up with in 9 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, however long you want it to take for your success. And so we're going to talk about leveling up and what that looks like, because I'm just telling you, like, this environment at Equus Financial is unbelievable. We made 185 grand our first year, way back in our first full year of 2010, because we got started in the summer of '09. And the next year we made $210,000. Then we never got above that. Our first year at Equus, we made 265, and we were like way behind Jared. Cindy and I are so thankful for Jared for a couple of things. And one of them was going out there and just smoking the competition in those first few years and showing us what really could be done if we get to work. So what I want to do is I want to give you, hey, I'm not going to be able to put a why into you if you don't got it already. Okay, I'm not here to motivate you and be some kind of a speaker that's going to get you to do something. I'm sure that if you're here, you already want to do something. So I'm going to show you how to do it and what to do next. Okay, like the golden circle, it starts with why. It doesn't start with why and end with why. It starts with why, then goes to how, then goes to what. So I'm big on those 3 things. But let me just tell you, man, if you don't got your own why, Nick Theodore ain't going to put it in. Okay, so let's get to work. All right, so we're going to be talking a lot about numbers today, a lot about numbers, because everything in life is math. Okay, you got about 3 billion ticks of that sucker right there, and then you're pretty much wrapped up for life. Okay, so make them count. Every time your heart beats, it's going up against that 3 billion, and then you are about done. Some people get a few more, lots of people get a lot less. So we're going to talk about some numbers. So make sure that you're writing down, because these are tried, true, and tested ways of making the kind of money that we're talking about making. Okay, now here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about things that I believe that anybody listening today, especially if you're a sales manager already, okay, you can probably do this with maybe two, maybe three 90-day cycles. Okay. We used to call them madman cycles. I'm not 100% sure if that's okay to say anymore. Madman, mad woman, mad whatever cycles, but just put together two or three of these back to back. Okay. Back to back to back. And I will almost guarantee you that you'll be able to have these numbers. Now, if you're just getting started and just building, maybe it's going to take you 4 or 5 to get there. It took Jared and I a heck of a lot less. However, the environment to win today versus what it was on October 1st of 2015, oh my gosh, this isn't even the same freaking company. Okay. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the activity goal that you're going to have to make $150,000 in overrides in an entire year. And here's the thing that you have to do for it. So the first thing is your contract. Okay. So are we going to talk about sales? Yeah. Just so you can get your contract where you need it to be and fund your business. Other than that, hey, I sold insurance for years. Okay. But when Equus Financial started, I sold for 3 months and 1 week and never a policy after that again. You know why? Because I put together one crazy 90-day cycle and never looked back after that. So when I'm talking about putting 3 or 4 together, 2, 3, 4, you can do it. So here's what it takes to put yourself in a position to where you're making about $3,000 a week in average in overrides. Okay, here's what you have to do. Here's the workload that you have to do it. Okay, now these are going to be averages. You are going to need a contract of 105%, which means you're doing 2 months in a row, working your way up to $20,000 in bonusable premium 2 months in a row to get to a 105 contract. Now, hey, if you've already got a 110, 115, 120, then you can even smoke these numbers. But if you're like working your way up there, just know this is a contract that you're going to have to get the spread that Jared always likes to talk about when you're hiring new agents so that you can make the kind of override that you can make. Okay. Now, what does it take to get to $20,000 of bonusable premium 2 months in a row? 15 appointments a week. Okay. So if you got a calculator, take 15, not times 4, because there's not 4 weeks in a year, in a month. Even February next year has 4 weeks and a day because it's leap year. So let's actually use the numbers that are there. It's 4.3 because either you got 20, you got 29 days in February, you got 30 or 31 the rest of the months. Okay, so you're multiply 15 by 4.3, equal it out, and then you take that times 0.7. Why? Because you should have a 70% sit ratio. And then equal that out, take that times 0.5. Why? Because you should sell with half the people you sit in front of. Equal that out, and then take that times 1.3. Why? Because every 3 times you make a sale on a house, you should have a 4th policy. Equal that out, then take that times 0.7, and boom, you're just over $20,000. Now that's if each app is exactly $1,000. Most likely they're a little bit over that. Okay, now there might be a guarantee issue policy or something in there that will bring it down under that 20 bonusable. But if you're over $1,000 in premium, which you typically are on an app, you're going to be over 20,000. Okay, do that 2 months in a row. Now, it's like seriously, 15 appointments in a week. You know how much time that is? If you're running face to face, okay, that's to book the appointments and run the appointments is a 2.5 hour time period. So take 15 times 2.5, and it's like, okay, you're not even really working that much. It's like 45 hours a week. No, it's not even 45. It's like 38, something like that, not even 40 hours. So all of a sudden now it's like you can knock this thing out and have plenty of time to do your other stuff. Now, building wise, okay? No, so remember those numbers of 70, 50, and 70 we talked about? We'll get to that in a few minutes when we talk about our talent. But if you're not sitting with 70%, you're not closing 50%, you're not getting 70% placed, you got a problem and we can fix it. Okay, lots of people on Jared's team way above those numbers totally can fix it. On the building side, here's what you need: 14 set interviews a week. Why? Because when you get 14 set interviews in a week, okay, whatever that number is that you set, you should have about half of those people signed ICAs. Okay, so if you're setting 14, you're going to get like 7 of them to sign. Why? Because you're going to have a few people that don't show up, a few people that are not right for it, a few people that you send the ICA to and they don't sign it. And then boom, you're set with about 50% of the set interviews you have will be eventual signed ICAs. When you do that, if you're good in this business, you should have 3 new writers direct to you every single month. And eventually, within about 2, 3, maybe 4 90-day cycles, you should be doing about $75,000 in premium every single month with Equus Financial. You got about a 20% average spread, okay? And you're making 150, you're making, even with just your advance, you're making close to 150 a year. And there's a $24,000 bonus on top of it. So when I say it's with just the advance, not even back end money, you're making that kind of cash, like you will easily be making $3,000 a week in this industry off of overrides. Then you make a decision on, based on that, how much more insurance you have to sell. Okay. So that's kind of like the kiddie one. Let's go to the one that's just above that. Let's talk about doing 250 in overrides. Here's the cool part. It's just 5 more points in contract, just 5 points, which means now you got to do 25,000 2 months in a row in sales to get a 110 contract. What is that? 19 appointments a week. And do the same math. It works out to just over 25,000 bonusable premium. What do you have to do on the building side? 20 interviews a week. Why? So you get 10 signed ICAs. You'll get 5 new writers every single month. See, here's the thing. Jared and I knew this coming in. If we roll a 0 selling insurance in a week when we're out there trying to sell, we suck. But we suck really bad. Okay. Because like it's unacceptable to go out there and have your 15 appointments and have a 0. That is a complete and utter waste of freaking time. It's equally as bad. In fact, it's massively worse. If you're building a business and you worked on building your business all week and you had 20 interviews and you got 10 signed ICAs and you didn't have somebody brand new direct to you sell insurance this week, you're kidding me, right? You worked all week on building your business with 0 success. That is horrible. But see, most people will push that off and say, I'll get it next week. Well, that's why you're not one of our integrity marketing partners, because you push things off when you should be getting them done right now. At that point, your team is going to be doing $125,000 a month. And even with that same average 20% spread, you're making like $220 some thousand just in overrides, plus a $36,000 a year bonus. You're way over 250, way over 250, and you can scale the business. Now, okay, those are great numbers. However, like that's your activity numbers. Now you could suck at this entire thing and you'll have 0 results. Okay, like that's totally possible. You could suck at this and be doing all these numbers and get no results. So let's talk about not just the activity, but the talent that goes along with it. Okay, so we talked about that 70, 50, 70. So 70, that first number, 70% of the people that you book an appointment with, you need to sit down and do a presentation. If not, if more than 30% are saying, calling you up and rescheduling, calling you up and canceling, or just not showing up, a no-show, or as Jared aptly called it, a me show. He's like, it's not a no-show. Me, I'm here. It's a me show and they ain't here, right? So if more than 30% is doing that, you've got a problem and we can fix it. Okay. So you got to at least be sitting with 70% of those folks. Now, that means that when you sit with them, that next number of 50, 50, okay, not the cop, not the popo, but 50% of the people that you're sitting with, you need to convert into a sale. All right. Now, every 3 times you close a deal, Chuck, you should have a 4th application, not just 3. There should be a 4th one in there. Okay. And that's critical. Why? Because the next number isn't 100. You're not getting all 100 of them issued. You're going to get about 70% of them issued. I know that Equus took the number down to 65. However, to be really good in this business, I'm looking for 70%, not 65. Otherwise, it wouldn't have like 9 different colors, these Porsche mugs. This one was an executive series for Turbo S models in 2009. It's called Golden Yellow Metallic. At the Porsche dealer the other day, Jared, they actually had a 2004 Carrera GT. This is legit. 1.5 million bucks. Cool car. All right. So those are the numbers: 70, 50, 70. If you're not getting to those numbers, your talent isn't to the point where you can scale your business based on sales. Okay. Based on sales. Track all this stuff. The cool part is Equus Financial. I'm looking at mine, and for our hierarchy, we're at 72.1 on placement. Okay. The minimum 65. They track that for you already. But if you're not tracking your sit rate, and if you're not tracking your close rate, then I don't know, what are you doing in business? Just kind of guessing. You're just guessing. It's like, that ain't pretty cool. That's horrible. You should know your numbers. In fact, there's activity trackers. There's no excuse for you not to do it, except it doesn't make much difference to you. Everything is intentional or nothing's intentional. That's one thing that Jared Ewing taught me. He's taught me a lot of stuff in this business. Trust me on that part, either verbally or by example or both. All right, so now let's talk about the talent goals. Enough of that silly selling insurance stuff, right? And I say it's silly because compared to getting other people to sell insurance, it's like child's play, okay? Because you're in control of everything selling insurance. You control nothing hiring somebody else to do it. You just influence that person, okay? So you got to be much more effective when you're teaching and training people versus selling insurance, okay? These next three numbers, 90, 20, 60. Okay, so get your calculator out, right? So let's say start with 100 times 0.9. What does that mean? Let's say you send out 100 ICAs in a period of time. Let's say that's in 3 months. Then you get 90% of those people to sign it. That's the acceptable rate. You just had somebody say, send me the document over, I'll sign it. And if 13 seconds later, more than 1 out of 10 of those people is not signing it, you've got a problem. Okay. So you can't build this business if half the people that you send an ICA to sign it. It needs to be 90%. Right. Now, the next number, 20, this is typically if you're either working warm market or cold market through people that don't have an insurance license, which is like 90% of the people you talk to in your warm market clientele, or maybe like ZipRecruiter or Recruity or a couple of places like that. Most of them don't have an insurance license. So 20% of those people that sign an ICA should get the good to go email saying that they're contracted, right? The biggest area, the biggest hole in the ship is people that don't get a license because they just don't finish their course. They never get their course, but they never get to the point of getting contracted. Okay, now, if you're using some portals that can target the couple million people in the country that have insurance licenses, that number should really be, combined, be more like 30. Let's just go with 20. Okay. So 90% sign ICA, 20% of those people get an insurance license. The next number, the last number is 60. 60% of the people that get contracted should sell a policy. You're like, for real? I got 10 people that just got their license, got contracted, are out there ready to go, and 4 of them don't even do it. Yeah, it's exactly how it works. Remember, we're in America. We're in America, right? Land of the free, home of the brave, largest concentration of slackers and quitters on the planet. That's where we're at. Okay. So be okay with that. But if you do that, you'll get 1 in 8 signed ICAs to sell a policy. Now, let's just say your talent level gets there. Now, how many people do you need to hire every single week to get a brand new person selling insurance? If you do 1 out of 8, the number is 8, right? It's just 8. I've done the math. And so then now you know your number. It's like, you mean to tell me that if I hire 16 people in a week, I can get 2 people selling insurance? Yeah, that's how it works. What the hell do you think Jared and I were doing early on building their freaking empires? Right? How do you think that on October 1st of 2015, I got out there with like 3 people that I had on my team coming here? The best man at my wedding from 1989, Dean Ellenis, my daughter, and then Joyce Gay. who hardly sells any more insurance anymore. Why? Because she stopped going to events. I don't know what to tell you. She was an Equus pioneer, they called her in the first year. But you start missing events, stop associating, down the crapper you go. But I had almost nothing. So I went out there and sold lots of insurance for 3 months. In fact, the next closest person, my buddy Dean, I had over twice as many sold policies as he did in those 3 months, to the point where we hired so many people in those 90 days that after the first week in January, I hung up the pen and the polo shirt. I was done. Why? Because I didn't want to sell insurance for the rest of my natural born freaking life. I like being home. I like going to the track, which I'm going there tomorrow with my Lotus Evora S. And I enjoy building a business, not selling insurance, right? I know Eric Bowling's desire in life was to sell his insurance his whole life either. So he built a business big enough so he can not have to do it. Good for you. And so, but you could build that to any level you want to. So I'm just saying, like, a handful of 90-day cycles going through this. And I'm telling you, like, you can be there, but don't miss a week. If you say, all right, I need 15 appointments and 14 interviews, don't miss a week of doing that, thinking you're going to make it up. Do it every damn week. I don't care what week it is, do it every week. You know, the thing about it is consistency in this industry is something that people grasp for, but it's a result of what your daily habits are. And if your daily habits aren't intentional about everything, it won't happen. So how long does it take to do, like, to do all of the refreshing and set up the interview and do the interview? There's about a half an hour of time involved with all of that. So, okay, all right, now we're talking about 15 appointments in a week, 2.5 hours per, and we're counting drive time when you get to listen to Lady Gaga or Taylor Swift. By the way, we're counting that as work. We shouldn't, but we're counting it as work anyway. So that's like 37.5 hours there. And then, oh man, 14 interviews, that's another 7 hours right there. So that's 42.5 hours, 45.5 hours, something like that. It's like, no, that's if you're inefficient. Here's what I did. If I had a 8 o'clock appointment in the morning, and then I had another one at 9:30, another one at 11, every hour and a half, I got a nice headset, a Blue Parrot 450 XL, and I would do an interview in between each appointment and before and afterwards, which means that instead of listening to Guns N' Roses, I was building a business in between appointments for 15, 20 minutes at a time, being efficient with it, making sure that I had a GPS that wasn't my phone, so that it wasn't talking in my ear, and I could get to the person's house safely while I'm doing it. So it's like you could actually take those 14 interviews and squeeze them right into that time you're already working. I'm just telling you, that's like, there's going to be a way where you're either going to take a long time to build this business or a short time to build it. Why would you want to take longer? Like, you realize how you could live if you do this really fast, sacrifice a few things, stop hanging out with the bros on the weekend when they hate their job and like, hey man, come out and hang out with me. It's like, man, I'm building my freaking empire right now. You know, there was this quote on for football season, and it said, hey guys, only one more month until a bunch of young guys playing football are going to dictate how you feel for an entire week. I'm like these guys running around in tight pants with a ball, and if they lose, you're in the crapper for a whole week and hoping next week that they put you in a good mood. Man, build your own empire, bro. Build your own empire like Jared did and like we did, and then enjoy doing whatever it is that you want. You know, in 2015, we realized that we were not going to do what Barry says most people do. Barry says this business is nothing more than one false start after another. You know why? Because you're making it a false start. Keep doing the same thing over and over again. You won't have a false start. We didn't, Jared didn't, and that's why Jared was the first person to make $1 million in this industry. There's only been two of us. Jared and Cindy and I were the only ones to make $1 million in overrides in a year. And the next year, we were, both of us actually even netted over $1 million in overrides after our expenses. I'm just telling you, you got the guy right there who can tell you exactly how to do it.
Nick, are you turning it back over to me for? I was dying laughing when you were talking about the guys and diets. By the way,
Dude,
I
so
don't
many
think.
people, they live their life through another dude playing, like chasing a ball with another dude. It's like, come on, come on.
Listen, man. I was right, and I wrote down all your numbers and stats, and I was sitting there thinking about it, going, man. Like if people realize how I follow, like though I tracked my numbers so diligently all the time, it like I think some people wing it most of their lives, and then they'll argue about statistics, and I'm like, dude, why are you arguing about statistics? I mean, I follow numbers so religiously, it's ridiculous. But I'll tell you the one thing, and I'll kind of back you up on this because I remember when we started back in 16, really putting it to it, and started with just a few people just like you. I went out and sold from February to July. Like July was the last time I sold a policy. July of 16 was the last time I sold a policy. But I was out selling. I mean, dude, I was running all day, multiple days a week. And that's after I was traveling for the first few days of every single week. But I was with you. I was like, dude, I'm just want to go as fast as possible. And then like I was listening to Chuck's team live dial today, and I was like, dude, I didn't care. Like I could care less what people say to me on a phone call. I'm plowing through objections. Like if you get stumped by objections, you care too much. Like I called Dave Schneider earlier because I was listening to one of his guys, Nick, get stumped by objections. I was like, he cares too much about what people are saying. He's trying to argue with them about it. I don't give a damn what people say on the phone, man. I had to go. Like I'm like, hey, you don't want it? I'm coming over. Bye. Like that's all I would do, and then show up at their house and be like, I told you no. I don't care if you told me no. I mean, you sent a form in. I'm going over, and I just had to get through appointments, and then I had to recruit. So I was with you, same thing. Like I never wasted a minute. Like if I didn't have an appointment, I was booking interviews to talk to people on the phone all the time. Like I didn't even care. And then if somebody didn't like, it's like the same thing, right, Nick? If they didn't care, like when you were talking about the 1 in 8, if they didn't care about getting started, I don't I can't care more than somebody else cares. Like if you don't care, I don't care. Like you ain't gonna affect my life. I just gotta go. And but at the same token, I was making like 30 G's a month selling insurance at the same time. So I really didn't care what people like. If you don't have ambition, what are we going to do about you? I mean, I ain't going to instill something into you that God left out of you. Man, that's not my job. Right. So I love it. I do. Stats are stats. And by the way, when you guys are and I would say the best at adding additional cells. So when you were talking about the additional app into a cell, I mean, hands down, you guys should be paying attention to what Nick's saying on that. They sell more apps per than anybody else in that I'm aware of. So you guys are amazing at that. So I appreciate it, dude. I could sit here and talk to you. Obviously, we talk a punch, but I could talk for hours. We could talk stories. We could talk, when we got on stage the first time and both were nervous about talking, we can talk about anything. But really, at the end of the day, what I hope you got out of Nick is really paying attention to the statistics of your business, following, tracking it, and understanding you can go quick. And what's crazy, what I would love to see, Nick, is I would love to see somebody start today monitoring that business so diligently that 6 months from now they sell their last policy and their business is overriding them. And I think Nick was shooting you super conservative on monies. My first year, I made $670,000, and and that was in 10 months. So I don't think you have to. I think Nick was being very conservative for you, but again, the one thing that's true in blue is you got to track your numbers, you got to live by stats, and you got to not worry about what people are concerned about, and just kind of move forward with your objective in life. So what you're trying to accomplish. So, and if you're anything like Nick, you just take a different car, like a Porsche one day to the track, a Lotus the next day, and just keep adding cars to the mix. One day he's going to tell me he's got a new Ferrari too. And then he's just going to have the collective of cars. So he's got enough Porsches, Mercedes, and Lotuses now to give us all a car to run around a track. So, but appreciate it, Nick. Thanks so much for joining us on a call. Anything we can ever do for your team, let us know. But guys, go out, have a great week this week, man. Go challenge yourself to follow the statistics Nick was running through this week. Challenge yourself to talk to more people this week than you've ever talked to. Challenge yourself to run those 15 appointments, and see if I always like to go prove him wrong. Prove him wrong. Prove Nick wrong. like run what he told you to run and then come back and be like, you were wrong. See if he's wrong. But here's the problem. He's not going to be, he's going to be absolutely conservative on that. And then you're going to feel like an idiot because you didn't do it the whole time and you could have made making a ton more money than you're already making. So anyway, Nick, thanks again to the award winners. Congratulations again. We appreciate you guys. Have a great week. We're here for you if you need any help, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.